Welcome to Creepy, the best horror storyteller on YouTube.
The gorgeous French Alps reared before him, the sky view from the cockpit like a painting of heaven. Karl repressed a twinge of fear. He looked over at Gwen, his co-pilot, a seasoned veteran with silver streaks framing her auburn hair. Seeing the same expression of suppressed horror on her face, a mixture of sympathy and morbid curiosity, was oddly reassuring. Even though she'd done this route a grueling 10 years, there was no getting used to it. They called it the Andreas route, a name spoken in hushed tones among Lutfansa pilots. Any moment now, they would see the flashing light on the screen, indicating the presence of another plane, impossibly close. Too close for comfort, too close for safety. The air traffic controller voice crackled through the headset, a friendly Midwestern lilt masking the gravity of the situation. Lutfansa 217, you two holding up? First time with Andreas? He already knew the answer. It was the standard question for rookies on this route. Everything about Andreas was shrouded in an unsettling veil of secrecy, a verbal debrief instead of the usual pre-flight documentation. Gwen squeezed Karl's hand, a silent message of shared dread. "It's very quick," she murmured. "I've timed it, less than 8 seconds of pure terror." The blinking light on the screen went on, a malevolent red dot mocking their sense of security. Had Karl not known with absolute certainty that their radar was clear, he would have sworn they were about to crash into this spectral plane that had materialized out of nowhere. Even secure in the knowledge that this was just an unearthly manifestation, a chilling echo of a tragedy, he gripped his controls and Gwen's hand with bone-crushing force, his heart hammering a wild tattoo against his ribs. The sudden intrusion in their headphones was a young man's voice, his breathing ragged and frantic. Behind the desperate gasps, a faint pounding resonated, a pounding on metal, frantic and insistent. "Let me in! Let me in! Andreas!" The voice was raw with terror and a bone-deep loneliness that sent a shiver down Karl's spine. Then came the screams. Faint at first, muffled cries of terror that grew to a horrifying crescendo. Passengers, trapped, their screams echoing through the empty space between the planes. Karl squeezed his eyes shut, the sound of physical assault on his senses. Gwen's tears splashed against his hand, hot and salty. It wasn't just the pain in the screams, it was the sheer despair, the knowledge that their pleas would never be heard. Then, as abruptly as it began, it was over. The shrieks faded, the desperate pounding retreated, leaving behind only the chilling echo and the young man's ragged breathing fading into silence. The red dot on the screen blinked through them and vanished, a ghostly apparition returning to the abyss. A tiny tremor ran through the plane, barely a ripple, a final goodbye from the phantom aircraft. Everything was okay, they said it would be. A routine anomaly, a glitch in the system. But Karl wouldn't be fooled. It happened every time on this route, a grim reminder of a forgotten tragedy. The company, with its ruthless efficiency, had buried the details, leaving only whispers and rumors. The first few pilots who had witnessed the Andreas phenomenon had reacted poorly. One had a heart attack, another quit on the spot, gibbering about lost souls and restless spirits. The company had dealt with them swiftly and quietly, a stark reminder of the consequences of breaking the Andreas code of silence. Gwen, pale and drawn, managed a WAN smile. "Welcome to the club, rookie," she croaked, her voice hoarse. Another Andreas down, countless to go. The angled sunbeams hit the cockpit then, bathing everything in a deceptive golden light. As the Alps receded behind them, Karl couldn't shake the feeling they weren't alone. The phantom plane, the screams, the chilling whispers, they were etched into his memory, a permanent reminder of a dark secret that Lutfansa kept locked away, a terrifying price for a clear sky. Later, back on solid ground, Karl couldn't resist. He discreetly searched the company archives, a digital graveyard of forgotten incidents. He found nothing about Andreas, just a single, redacted report about a Lutfansa flight that vanished over the Alps 10 years ago, with no trace and no survivors. The hairs on the back of his neck prickled. Was the Andreas route a memorial, a chilling reenactment of the lost flight, or something more sinister? A nagging suspicion began to gnaw at him. Perhaps the screams weren't just echoes of the past, but pleas from the present, a desperate cry for help from those trapped in a ghostly purgatory. Karl knew he couldn't stay silent. But who would believe him? Who would risk their career, their sanity, to expose a secret that a powerful corporation like Lutfansa was so desperate to bury? Sleep became a stranger, replaced by nightmares filled with the red dot and the desperate pleas of the unseen passengers. He confided in Gwen, hoping to find solace in shared experience. But Gwen, ever the pragmatist, urged him to let it go. "They'll brand you crazy, Karl. It's not worth it. We just fly the damn plane and collect our paychecks." Desperation gnawed at him. He started leaving anonymous messages on pilot forums, cryptic warnings about the Andreas route. No one responded, the silence more deafening than any reply. Then, one day, a message appeared on his anonymous forum post. A single line in bold, "We know. Don't stop." A flicker of hope ignited in Karl's chest. He wasn't alone. He continued his online crusade, more cautious now, using coded messages and online aliases. Slowly, a small network began to form, other pilots who had witnessed the Andreas phenomenon, each carrying the burden of a secret they couldn't share. Together, they started piecing together the puzzle. Through meticulous research and clandestine meetings, they unearthed a chilling truth. The missing Lutfansa flight, the one redacted from the archives, wasn't just a tragic accident. It was an experiment gone wrong. Lutfansa, in its relentless pursuit of efficiency, had attempted to develop a new flight path, one that shaved minutes off travel time by dipping into a region with uncharted electromagnetic anomalies. The plane, caught in a freak phenomenon, entered a kind of temporal rift, trapped between dimensions, forever repeating its final moments. The revelation filled Karl with a horrifying clarity. The screams, the phantom plane, weren't just a ghostly reenactment. They were the present reality of those trapped souls. The Andreas route wasn't a memorial, it was a prison, and they, the unwitting Lutfansa pilots, were the unwilling jailers, forced to witness this eternal tragedy on autopilot. The weight of this knowledge threatened to crush him. But the network wouldn't let him succumb. They devised a plan, a desperate gamble to expose the truth and free the trapped souls. Using their collective knowledge of the Andreas phenomenon, they calculated a specific flight path, a maneuver that might, just might, disrupt the temporal rift and break the cycle. Karl knew it could be a suicide mission. But the faces of the terrified passengers, their pleas echoing in his head, fueled his determination. The day of the operation arrived. Karl, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm, took the pilot's seat. Gwen, her face etched with worry, stood beside him. They didn't speak, the gravity of the situation hanging heavy in the air. As they entered the designated airspace, the familiar dread washed over Karl. The red dot pulsed on the screen, the screams began to fill the headphones. But this time, Karl didn't flinch. He followed the calculated flight path with unwavering focus, his knuckles white on the controls. The plane juddered violently, a cacophony of alarms blaring. Everything seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. Then, just as abruptly as it started, the world went silent. The red dot vanished, the scream ceased. An unnerving stillness filled the cockpit. Had they succeeded? Or had they just doomed themselves? Slowly, cautiously, Karl looked out the window. The familiar expanse of the Alps stretched before them, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun. There was no trace of the phantom plane, no tremors, no chilling whispers. They had done it. Relief washed over him, so intense it threatened to bring him to his knees. News of their successful deviation from the Andreas route spread like wildfire among the network. Emboldened, they anonymously leaked their findings to a journalist known for his investigative tenacity. The story broke, sending shockwaves through the aviation industry. Public pressure mounted, forcing Lutfansa to acknowledge the truth. The Andreas route was shut down permanently. Investigations were launched, lawsuits filed. But for Karl and the other pilots, the victory felt hollow. They had freed the souls trapped in the temporal rift, but the experience had left an indelible mark on their psyches. They were forever bound by a shared secret, a harrowing experience that blurred the lines between reality and the supernatural. And sometimes, on clear nights, when the wind howled outside their windows, they could almost swear they heard the faint echo of screams, a chilling reminder of the price they paid to break the silence. The Andreas phenomenon might be gone, but the memory and the responsibility would forever haunt them.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more similar horror stories.